How to remove the front brakes on this is a 2013 Kia Soul. This should work with the 2010 to, I believe, maybe the 15 or newer Kia Soul. The tools you need is a 14mm socket and a 10mm socket also. What you want to go ahead and do is take the wheel off. I've already have that off to speed up this video here. Go ahead and take that off. You do want to jack it up, obviously, but before you jack it up, go ahead and break the lug nuts loose on it. Then, like I said, go ahead and jack up the vehicle. I just got the one for the spare tire here. And the reason why I have this here, I'll go ahead and show you once I get to it. But what you want to go ahead and do is take your 14mm socket. You'll have a bolt here. It's already taken out. And if you look on the bottom of it right here, you'll have a 14mm here. Go ahead and break those loose and take them out. Before you try to move it, apparently Kia did not give you long enough brake hose here. So basically you got no room really to play with it a little bit, to hang it up on the strut or the shock, whatever you want to call this thing here. So what I did, I took the 10mm, that's where the 10mm socket comes in hand. I already got the bolt back in place. That's what I like to do also, just for a reminder if you guys, a helpful hint. Whatever you take off, just put it back in there so you don't got a bunch of bolts all scattered everywhere and you can't figure it out. Alright, so like I was saying, I had the bolts all scattered around. What I like to do is just have it back in its place so I know where it belongs and so I don't lose it. So the reason why you seen in the earlier, I had this jack end here. Therefore you don't have to mess around with the bungee cord or zip tie, whatever you use to hang it on the strut here. All you just want to do, you can take a flathead screwdriver and kind of pry on it. Me, I've had most of the luck just kind of wiggling it back and forth as you see here. I got it sitting on here just so it's out of my way and I don't have to fiddle around with the bungee strap like I was saying. Alright, so to get the brake pads off, all you just gotta do is just kind of move it back and forth. Or if you want, you can take the whole bracket off of here. And if I don't have to do it, I won't do it. But to take the bracket off, if that's what you want to do, you got the bolt here. And I don't know if I can get it. Yeah, you got the bolt right back here that you want to take off to take this whole bracket assembly off. If you do want to take the bracket off, it's just a 17mm socket that you'll need to get those two bolts off. But me, I've always had best of luck just taking the brake pad off by hand. This one I gotta push in to get it out just the same way, and you can kind of see got some meat left on it but not too much on it. And if you want to replace the rotor, like I said, you'll have to take the bracket off to take the rotor out, and what you'll need is I believe that is a Phillips head screw. Yeah, and I wouldn't. Might be on there pretty tight, so I'd take a socket. There's a special name for it. I can't think of it off my head. But you want to take the socket and the little Phillips head. It's like a socket adapter. I think you people know what I'm talking about, and you can break it loose that way. Because I believe these will be on there pretty tight. I believe on this, yeah, you got two, one here and one here. So you can try to. Maybe you'll be lucky and you can get it off just by a screwdriver, but some people will have to take the socket to it to get it off. So after you do that, get the brake pads off. I'm only doing just the brake pads. That's all I'm concerned about right now. So just kind of the same way like you do with the other one. Take the brake pad off of it. Also, what I like to do, kind of sit like this one was on for the back end of the rotor. This end was for the front, so that's kind of how I like to have it. And there's a difference here. There's a little tab right here. So got the new one right here. Like I have it sitting here. This is for the back end of it. What I call back end is this way. This will be front, what I'll call it. The back end, like I said, it had a tab here. This new one have a tab on it, so you can see the thickness of this brake pad here versus this one. There ain't nothing left of it basically. because we just hearing some noise up front. So I figured the brake pads, let's try to change that and see if that fixes it. So basically, it's kind of basically how to put it back on. Just put it in just the way you kind of took it. You see kind of like a little notch here, and you just want to kind of line it up. Make sure it's facing the right way. This house length the right side for it, but you kind of get my idea where you have to line it up with the back end of it. Alright, like I said, all you just do is line it up, slide it in place, make sure it's even when you go to put it on. Don't want to have it kind of cockeyed where one side of the brake pad's in further than the other one. And this side, I don't know if I'll be able to get a good angle at it, but I had some trouble kind of with it because of the little tab over here. I'm trying to find it. This little tab here from the brake hardware. This side was one to kind of get caught onto the brake pad here. So you just want to make sure you don't get all snagged up here. Push it in, make sure it's in there good. Then before you go to put the caliper back on, you want to compress it, which is basically you'll need a C-clamp. And you can just take an old brake pad, lay it in place, and take the C-clamp and tighten up. Therefore, it's pushing the piston back in place. So basically, that's how it's supposed to look when you're trying to compress it. Just take the old brake pad, lay it where the piston's at, take a C-clamp on. I believe this is a 6-inch and worked good for me. And I just kind of have it where it's on the bolt here with the brake line attached to the caliper here. And you just want to tighten it up till it's flush up against the brake caliper. The reason why you have to do this is because compared to how much meat is on this brake pad versus this one here, there ain't almost nothing on it. Since what was on it, the brake piston has pushed out further. So when you go to try putting it on, the piston will be like right here, for example, and you can't get it on. It has to be pushed back, which on the brake pad here. So that's why you have to compress the piston of the brake caliper. So after you're done, it should be all nice and flush up against this. Make sure you don't damage the little rubber boot that's around the piston. So after you've done that, go ahead and just turn it over and put it back in place and tighten down the bolts on it. Don't forget to take this bolt out if you already did what I did, put it back in. And you're going to put the mounting bracket in place. What I always like to do is go ahead and get it hand tightened first. Make sure you get it on there by hand. Therefore you don't cross thread it when you're tightening it down. After you get all the bolts all tightened down on it, you're going to put your wheel back on, tighten it down. Start on the other side if you want, whatever you're trying to do. I'm going to do the other side, so I'll go ahead and do that side. And before you leave, pump the brakes a couple times to make the piston rest onto the brake pad, so therefore when you drive, it'll stop right away instead of taking more time. So before you drive off, pump the brakes and make sure it's nice and firm and hard on it. So that's how you change the front brake pads on a Kia Soul. Thanks for watching.